Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where today we've got a debut on the channel for BIGfoot. We have discovered BIGfoot apparently with a puzzle called Cithara. Now I had to look up Cithara because I did actually think it might be a musical instrument because I am aware of the word zither. Yeah, it is indeed a musical instrument, and I just realised before I started the webcam why it is called Cithara. I presume these Remban lines in purple are defining the shape of the musical instruments, so I'm guessing it's some sort of lute-shaped thing. I'm going to look that up afterwards. Anyway, that's presumably why this is called this, and this has an interesting backstory in the sense that two of our testers say this is absolutely magnificent, but apparently according to Mark they solved it in very different ways, and he's given me a note I have to read at the end of this puzzle if I can get through it, which will explain all, whatever that means. So we've got that to look forward to, I hope, assuming I can solve the puzzle. I'm quite relieved to see I have an absolute multitude of given digits today. Yesterday I only had 4 given digits, and that was if you count those enormous 7s in the grid. Today I've got 4 given digits in the diagram, and lots of given digits, 5 double digits outside the diagram. So it should be happy days today. We shall see. I'll read you the rules in just a moment. A few things to mention first. Obra Dinn. Mark and I are going back to the good ship Obra Dinn tonight, 10 o'clock UK time, for a live stream. We hope this might be the edition where we finish the game, so if you want to see us struggling through it, then we'd love to have your company. I will wear my captain's hat, of course. What else? If you're a patron of the channel on Patreon, then you've still got 3 more days to send in your final answers for the Japanese sum Sudoku puzzles that we published at the start of the month. So if you want to be eligible to win a prize, do get your entries in soon. Other than that, if you own SUDOKU PAD, which of course is our app where you can play the puzzles in our software or put your own classic Sudokus into our software so you can play it using our software, then we published a bonus puzzle yesterday on our Twitter. Our Twitter handle is @CrypticCracking, so do follow us there. It's full of all sorts of goodies. So there's a bonus puzzle which was called Trolling by Spartan, and I know many of you have been enjoying that one. And the only other thing to mention is, of course, our book. Here is the actual physical book, which I had because I had to proofread the physical book. The real physical books that are going out to all you guys are, I think they've left China now, so they're on their way. They're on their way to you. But if you can't wait, and I wouldn't blame you if you can't wait, you can now get hold of the copy of the book yourselves. Just go log into your Kickstarter account where you back the book, and you will find a PDF there, and you can see you can see the whole thing. We've been delighted by the comments overnight. We're thrilled so many of you are enjoying trying the new puzzles, watching the new videos, and even enjoying the older photos of Mark and me that are included in the book too. So do check it out, and do let us know your comments. As I say, we're very proud of it, and we're delighted by the response. Now, all that said and done, let's get on with Cithara, and I'll read you the rules. They are as follows. Normal Sudoku rules apply. Digits cannot repeat on either main diagonal marked in blue. So we've got normal Sudoku X rules. Those cells there have to contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. Clues outside the grid give the sum of the digits along the indicated diagonal, and digits may repeat along such a diagonal if allowed by other rules. So that means this diagonal here sums up to 28, and we can repeat digits. So we could put, 8s into those 3s. Oh no, that's absolutely not going to work. There's an 8 already there. Let's change that and put 7s in instead. So these cells now add up to 21. So those 2 squares would have to add up to 7 in order to make the diagonal add up to the right number. That's how those rules work. And then we've also got Remban rules. So each purple line contains a set of consecutive non-repeating digits which can be in any order. So let's look at this one. Let's imagine we worked out that there was a 1 on this line in this position. Now we would know that this line has to contain consecutive digits, so it would need to be a 1, 2, 3, 4 line, but the digits can appear in any order, so it's not like a thermo where you have to increase from the bulb end. These digits here could be in that order. That just make sure that altogether we can view them as a set of consecutive non-repeating digits, and you're good to go. So that's the rules. Do have a go at the puzzle. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking. Now, let's get cracking with what exactly? The little killers. I may be wrong about this, but I'm not seeing any of these as being particularly restricted. So we've got 9 is restricted. Look, in box 7, because once there's an 8 off the Remban that exists in box 7, we can't put 9 on this Remban, because if we do, given the digits have to be consecutive, you'll have to go 9, 8, 7 and 6, and the 8 will clash. So the 9 is not on the Remban and it's not on the diagonal, so there's a 9 in one of those two cells. And that's immediately rather beautiful, because now in box 9 the 9 is forced onto the Remban, and once the 9 is on the Remban it must be accompanied by consecutive digits, so that's a 987 triple. That's a 987 triple, and that means... Right, I wonder if that's putting... Well, it is putting a little... Actually, it is putting a little bit of pressure on this 21 diagonal, because the minimum I could make those two cells add up to would be 15, which means the maximum these two cells could add up to is 6, but I'm not allowed to use a 1. So this has to... Oh no, I was about to say it has to include a 2, but I was forgetting you could put double 3 on the diagonal. No, you can't put double 3 on the diagonal, because that would break the... You couldn't then put 3 in box 9 at all. So if you can't put double 3 on the diagonal, and these have to add up to a maximum of 6, you must have a 2 in one of those positions, mustn't you? So it's... but they don't have to... They don't... Oh, in fact, double 2 doesn't work either. That's... okay, so there's something going on, I think, between these two digits. They can't be double 2, they can't be double 3, but they mustn't add up. They mustn't include a 1, and they mustn't add up to more than 6. So this is either a 2-3 pair or it's a 2-4 pair. And it must include a 2, because double 3 isn't possible. So there's definitely a 2 on one of these Renbans, which is interesting. And so one of the Renbans is... One of these Renbans is 2, 3, 4, and that's going to be... Yeah, hang on. This is very important, I think. One of these Renbans is 2, 3, 4. Let's just say it's this one, for the sake of arguing. Because we know one of these is a 2, one of the Renbans is 2, 3, 4. If it's this one, the 2 and the 3 in this box have to be vertical. But that, of course, is going to rule the cell. This cell is going to have to start with a 4, and it can't include a 2 or a 3, so that's going to be a 4, 5, 6 Remban as a result of that. So this is really beautiful. So we don't know how this works, but we do know... Good grief, yeah, we know that these are a 7, 8, 9 triple in both cases, I think. Because if this is the 2, 3, 4 Renban, you get 2, 3 here and a 4, 5, 6 Renban there, because this digit would have to be 4. The Renban would have to be consecutive but couldn't include a 2 or a 3. So that would be a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 triple. But then this in box 9 would be a 5, 6 pair with a 2, 3, 4 triple on that Remban. So these squares always end up being 2, 3, 4s, 5s and 6s only. And just to prove it works the same way symmetrically, if that's a 2, this is a 2, 3, 4 Renban, this is a 2, 3 pair, this square has to be a 4 because of the 21 diagonal, so this is a 4, 5, 6 Renban, then the 5 and the 6 in this box have to bounce over there this time. So it's exactly the same by symmetry. Oh, the other thing I should have mentioned in the introduction is tomorrow, Mark and I are doing one of the panel sessions for the World Sudoku and World Puzzle Forum that's going on at the moment. So Mark and I are interviewing 3 top setters that have been chosen by the great and the good of the World Sudoku Federation. I think we're interviewing Prasanna Seshadri, who's a great friend of the channel, as is Thomas Snyder, who is a multi-time winner of the World Sudoku Championship, and he's also won the World Puzzle Championship as well. So we're interviewing Prasanna and Tom, and also Gareth Moore, who's made an awful lot of puzzle books over the years, and used to be on the World Sudoku team with me as well. So we're interviewing those 3 people tomorrow. And once I get a link for that, I will post that on Twitter. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. This has got to be a 7-8 pair. That's got to be a 7-9 pair. Now, do we know which way round these go? Oh, the 12 diagonal maybe. Is that useful? It might be. I mean, these digits here have got to add up to a maximum of 5, so they can only be 1, 2, 3, or 4. Which might be interesting again, but it's not quite doing the business, is it? These squares here have to be from 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing a massive good lift exercise on this box. Yeah, okay, but what we can do probably in both cases is at least say something about the Rembans. In fact 7 I've just noticed has to be, yeah, where does 7 go on the positive diagonal? Well, it's got to be in one of those 3 cells. So there is a 7 in one of these 3 because the 7 in box 3 and the 7 in box 7 is restricted. Actually, maybe... Yes, okay, I know what these 3 digits are. This is nice. So, because 7, 8, 9 have gone from box 3 and box 7 already, but we haven't filled in the Rembans must contain a subset, a consecutive subset of the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So however we select 4 digits from that string of digits, you're always going to have to include 3 and 4 on the Rembans. So if these both have 3s and 4s on them, but neither is on the diagonal, and neither is on the diagonal, then you've got to put 3 and 4 on this diagonal in those squares. So they are 3, 4, and 7. Which means that square is not a 3. That's beautiful. Right, okay, so now I'm going to come back to this Remban. How did I get that square to being... Oh, I see, from the 12 diagonal. I was suddenly worried about how I'd got this one pencil marked, but that was fair enough, wasn't it? This can't be a 3 or a 4, so this is a 1 or a 2, because we know those 2 have to be smallish. Now you can't put 1 on this Remban, because if you do, you'll have to put 2 on it, and this square will have no option. So the 1 in this box is in one of those 2 cells, which means the 1 in this box is, you've guessed it, on the Remban. So this is a 1, 2, 3, 4 Remban. That's a 5, 6 pair. So this diagonal is all but done. We need a 1, 2 pair here. So this Remban now is 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay. Oh, I see what that's going to do. Is that going to restrict this digit a little bit? These 2 squares have to add up to a maximum of 5, so we can remove the 5 and the 6 from that cell. Remove the 4s from those 2 cells. And we now have to think again, don't we? Sorry about this, I'm stuck. What can we do next? we can... We've got a Scooby-Doo. Maybe I could... No, I don't really like this 12 diagonal, I have to say. What about the given digits? Are they going to be... No, or maybe... the 22 diagonal. Yeah, those three squares are all quite little, look. In fact, that one can't be a 4, I've just noticed from that square there. If I max out those three, I get 13. Perfect. The maximum value of those three digits is 13. So this square, in order to get to 22, has to be a 9. And these have to be maxed. So that's 4, 3, and 6, which gives us a 1, 2 pair in column 1. 9. I'm not sure what 9's doing. But this Remban's got a 6 on it now. So it definitely doesn't have a 2 on it as well. It's only 3 cells long and the digits must be consecutive. So those digits are in fact a 4, 5 pair. And we know this one can't be a 5 because that can't be a 1. So this is 4, this is 5. That now is the 2. This is a 2, 3, 4 Remban. Which... I'm not sure what that does, apart from it disambiguates these dominoes, doesn't it? So that must be a 5, 6 Remban, that must be a 2, 3 not Remban, domino. Ignore me, what do I know? Nothing, it seems. Right, so now maybe we look at... Don't know. Oh, now, well, yes, okay. So now these are forced to be a 4 and a 2. So these have to add up to 15. So they must be a 7, 8 pair, and that must be a 9. So maybe we look at the 32 diagonal now, where we've got 14 on it so far. So those three squares have got to add up to 18. So if that was as big as it can be, if this was a 4, these two squares would add up to 14. So these are at least 4. Well, these are either 14 or 15. I'm not sure. I'm not sure even if that's worth notating. This one can't be a 5 or a 6. That's a 7, 8, or a 9. But I think this one can still be... I think it can still be anything. Well, no, actually it can't be 9 now, because 9 plus 7 would be 16, and that would be too high given the values of this. It can't be 9 as well, because there's already a 9 in row 6. Oh, good grief. Sorry. Okay, what about that diagonal then? Have we got more joy going on this diagonal? The answer is... no, we hardly know anything. We know those 4 squares have to add up to 23, which is averaging only very slightly over 5, so that doesn't feel hopeful, does it? How about Sudoku? When you get stuck, Simon, always resort to Sudoku in Sudoku puzzles because it will help you. Look, 4s can't go in those two squares. In this 3, 4, 7 triple, there's a 4 on the diagonal and a 4 in that column. So the 4 in this 3, 4, 7 pair goes there, which means there's a 4 up here. 3 is now locked into the same... Yeah, this is nice. Actually, look where 3 goes in row 6 now. Doesn't go here because there's 3 in this domino. Doesn't go here because of the 3 on the diagonal. So there's a 3 in one of those two squares, which is not there by Sudoku. So that's a 3. 3 must be in one of those 3 cells. But we don't yet know about this diagonal, do we? I don't think. Okay. Oh, maybe come back to the 28 diagonal now. We've got a 3 on it to go with our 5. So we've got 8 in those. So these 3 squares have to add up to 20. So if we max that out, these are a minimum of 14. It's like the other side. These are a minimum of 14. So they've got to be a minimum of 5 into those cells. That one can't be a 5 or a 6. That one can't be a 9 or an 8. because of the 9-8 pair here. Row. So now I've got a 7-8-9 triple in row 8 and a 5-6 pair, which I hadn't noticed before. So this square's got to be a 1 or a 2, and that is totally unhelpful, bizarrely enough. Bobbins, I think, is the expression we're looking for. Okay, come on, how do we make this Cithara come together? We've actually got off to a reasonable start here, I feel. I've not looked at this Remban. So this Remban... Oh, I see. That's actually beautiful. That is beautiful. This 4 is doing work on this Remban. It's ruling itself out of those 3 squares. That 4 is ruling itself out of that square. If you can't put a 4 on a 4-cell Remban line, you also can't have the digits 1, 2 and 3 on that Remban line. Because if you put any of those on, when you make the consecutive sequence, you'll need to include a 4. So this Remban line is only selectable from 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, and it must have a 6, 7 and an 8 on it. And the 7 is not in those cells. We know there's a 7 on, so there's a 7 now in one of those 2 cells for certain. Sorry, I can't immediately see why that matters. Does that matter for the... You can't put a 7 there ever now. Because there's a 7 in one of those, this can't be a 7. So 7 is actually almost restricted on this diagonal. It's there, it's there, or there. Don't know. No, I almost thought I had something then, but failed again. 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9. So that's not 9. That's not 6. That's not 5. And that one seems to have lots of options. I don't quite understand that. Oh, no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. That is right. Prepare for one of the most beautiful naked singles you've ever seen in any context. Because, what is that cell? What is this little cell here? Well, the answer, I think, is it is a 5. I think it's a 5. Let me explain why. It's not a 1, and it's not a 2, and it's not a 3, and it's not a 4 by straightforward Sudoku. Now, I think it can be 5, but it can't be 7. Why can't it be 6, 8 or 9? Well, if it was a 6, 8 or a 9, well, it can't be 9. But why can't it be 6 or an 8? If it's 6 or 8, you know there's a 6, 8 on this Remban line. There has to be a 6 and an 8 on this Remban line. But if you put a 6 or an 8 here, you rule it out of all the cells on the Remban line because it sees the wings as well as the cells in the box. So that square cannot be a digit that must appear on that Remban line. So I think this square can only be a 5. And that's actually going to fix the Remban line as well. The Remban line will then have to have a 9 on it. Let's just do that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, no. 6, no. 6 is on the Remban. 7, no. 8 is on the Remban and 9 is here. Perfect. This is a naked single 5. That is absolutely glorious. So that means these squares are now a 6, 7, 8, 9 quadruple, which... I don't know. I'm not actually sure that's actually done me any good at all. 1 now is in one of 2 places in box 5. 2 is in one of 2 places in box 5. Oh, come on. This has got very, very difficult all of a sudden. Or, well, actually, probably. Let me correct myself. It's probably only difficult because I'm failing to see, in the words of John Cleese as Basil Fawlty, the bleeding obvious. Although I think he was accusing Sybil of being our mastermind, wasn't he? Sybil Fawlty, specialist subject, the bleeding obvious. Okay, what else am I meant to look at here then? Got my 7, 8, 9 triple there. Can I work out which of those has to be the 7? Is that doable? If that's a 7, that's a 7. There's a 7 over there. Well, it doesn't look restricted at all to me. If that's a 7, oh, maybe that's it. If that's a 7, that's a 7, and there's a 7 over here. Okay, well, that's a little bit interesting. So where does the 7 go in box 1? Well, it's either in this string of digits, or it's in that string of digits. Ah, and that means where it's not is here. It can never be here. So now the 7 on this diagonal, which was the question we were looking at before, is either here or here. I see. Right. And therefore, that square there is either a 3 or a 7, because the same restriction applies to 3. Look, where does 3 go on the negative diagonal? It can't go here because of the 3, 7 pair, and it can't go in those squares because of these 3s. So this and this are a 3, 7 pair, which means that those 3 squares are 2, 6, and 8. Ah, no, no, come on, be fair. Be fair, come on, that's not helping me at all, is it? Good grief. Okay, no, I don't think that does anything. Well, famous last words, but I can't see what... that's not a 6, actually. Hang on. So this is down to 2 or 8. If it's an 8, then those would be a 7, 8 pair, and these would be a 6, 9 pair. There would be a 7, 8 pair in this row. I don't think that's broken, though. It might be broken, but if it is broken, it's broken along a chain I can't quite see the end of. So 7 here, 7 there, no 7 here anymore. Those had to add up to at least 14, didn't they? Ooh, so if that's not 7, this would not be a 7 either. That would actually be useful. It would give me an 8, 9 pair in column 4 if this is a 7. Is there a well, why can't this be 7 then? If that's a 7, that's a 7. The 12 diagonal then, so that would be a 3. So that would be a 7. Oh, right. Oh, good grief. Right, that's not easy to see, but it is true. This is not 7. Because if this is 7, the point is that this square, of all squares, becomes a 3. And it becomes a 3 because of this diagonal. Because the moment this is 7, this is forced to be 8, and now those two squares have to add up to 4, which forces the 3 here. But now look, now that square all of a sudden becomes 7, and now neither of those two squares can be 7 anymore, and you can't put 7 on the positive diagonal. That's not easy. I totally agree. If you're saying that's not easy, I agree with you. It's not. But it does give me a 7 here, and that, I think, is helpful because of this column. Because now this is not 7. Now we know those two squares had to add up to at least 14, so once this is not 7, that is not 7. either, because we could obviously have made those double 7 to get to 14. That's revealed an 8-9 pair in this column, which gives me a 2 here. So that's no longer a 2. These squares are no longer 2. And, come on, brain. I'm going to have to wind up my brain today. It's not working. Brain. Why can't you do something with that knowledge? That should be useful. It's just not doing it. I mean, it's obviously got me a digit, but it's not really what I was hoping for, is it? So this is a 7. That's no longer a 7. So these squares along row 6 have to be from 1, 6 and 8. Is there a reason this is restricted? I don't think so. So we've got a 7 there. That's no... Oh, I see. The 7's doing some work down here I hadn't noticed. So that's a 7, that's a 9. Those two squares are not 7 anymore. Still don't know where the 7 goes in box 1, though. I don't think I'm going to know that until I can resolve the negative diagonal. 9. 9 is a bit restricted in this box now. Can only go there by Sudoku. So that's no longer a 9. So now the 9 on my Remban line is definitely in one of 2 places. This square is a 6 or an 8. Got it. Right. So this is a useful square. So actually I'm going to get rid of my orange now. I'm going to replace it with more orange or different orange, because these oranges are quite suddenly interesting to me. Whatever this is not that one. So it's that one. So those two are a pair, which means orange goes in one of those 3 squares. Well, if this was 8, you couldn't put 8 in any of those cells. So this is not 8, that must be 6, and that must be 6. And there we go. Has that done anything for us? That might be... Yes, that 6 is seeing that one, so that's 8. I can remove 6 from this square, so I've now got an 8-9 pair in the central box. This square and this square are no longer 8. Yeah, I see. Where does 6 now go in the central box? I think it has to go there, which means this square's become a 1. That's a 2. That's a 1. That's a 2. That's a 3. 3 on this Remban is forced now to be here, so those all go in out of nowhere. Come on. 8 in this column. Oh, well, let's just use that 8, in fact, to do that. 8 and 7 go here. This is a 7 and a 6, is it? Yes, but that doesn't seem to be resolved. And those squares are a 9 and a 5. Also doesn't seem to be resolved. Oh, but now my 12 is resolved, because this has to be a 7. That's great, so that gives me an 8 here. So I'm getting closer to knowing where the 7 goes over in that box. The 6 is giving me an 8 here. So 8 is now in this domino in box 4. The 6 is giving me a 6 and a 5 down in this box. Oh, is that doing anything? I was wondering about this diagonal again now. So now we've got 14 there. Oh, I need these to add up to 14. So it's still not resolved. Okay. We need 1, 2 and 8 in this column. So this square is a 1 or a 2. This square is a 1 or an 8, and this square is a 1, 2, or 8. Okay. What's that square? That square is a naked single 1, isn't it? So that square is no longer a 1. Still doesn't resolve that. Wow. Okay. This 8 is useful. 9 and 7 go into those squares. Aha! 7 and 3 go in here. Now this cannot be a 7. So that's the 3. That's the 7. The 7 here does the 7 and the 6. That's a 6 by Sudoku, and this is a 5. Now, now I've done this diagonal anyway. Let's check it actually adds up. I've got 10, 19, and 9 is 28. Yes, it does. Good. Okay, so how have we now cracked this? 1, 5, 1, 4, and 5 along here. So that's a naked single 4. That's a naked single 4. This is a 1, 5 pair, so 5 and 1 can go in the grid. Whoopsie. Just because of this 5 at the bottom. That 1's giving me a 2 here. 2 and 1 go into the grid. 5 and 6 go into the grid. These squares are 1, 3, and 8, so that should be an 8, 1, 3. 9 gives me 9 and 8 here. That gives me a 2, 1, 8. That gives me a 9, 5. Yeah, I think... Oh, no, it's okay. I was suddenly thinking I'm going to get a deadly baton on 3s and 4s and I was about to cry. But I'm not, am I? Because although this needs to be a 4, so that gives me the 4 and the 3, and that's a 1. Great. And now we need a 2 and a 5 here. 5 and 2. I want to know what this note Mark sent me says. This is a 3-9 pair. And this is a 2-7-8 triple. So that's 2, that's 8, that's 7, and that's... done. I mean, it's a beautiful puzzle, isn't it? It's a beautiful puzzle. Right, hang on a second. Let me go over there and see what's going on. So just bear with me. Okay, so I now have the message. And the message says simply, did you use set theory to crack this? No, I did not use set theory. Oh no. Don't tell me I was meant to use set theory. Oh no! Really? Where? Hang on a minute. Let's duplicate the tab. Let's duplicate the tab and have another look at this. Let's restart the puzzle, I suppose. Set theory. Right. At the start? In the middle? Where? I don't know. People may have to tell me about this because I do not. Is there something going on in row 9 and column 9? These strings here, sometimes you find them in the Fistamafel ring. The sort of the funny Fistamafel ring that involves those 2x2s. But this is horrible. I don't want to use that 2x2 in any sort of Fistamafel ring. Maybe I have to use the diagonal here. Let me just have a think about this. If I was to use the diagonal as well, now I'm proving Pythagoras. Yeah, okay, let's actually look at that for a second. If I highlight all those squares in blue, and highlight those corner ones in purple because they're repeated, how does that compare with those boxes look? Let's just have a quick look at this. I'm just going to quickly do this, and it's probably not going to be useful, but let me just... That one has become single blue. These become single blue. So that is an equivalence. Is that useful? So what I've just shown there, is that the blues and the oranges are the same digits. So I'd have to put a 1 in orange. And I'd have to put a 9. Sorry, yeah, I'd have to put a 9 in orange as well. Oh, well, it's... okay, I mean, I can see that's immediately placing a 9 here, but we could get that anyway. So I'm not sure this is terribly illuminating. I might be wrong. You can definitely prove that's 7, 8, 9 immediately. Then what do you have to do? You've got to put a 4 in blue. and a 1 in orange. So you now know that one of these is a 1, 2, 3, 4 Remban. Yeah, maybe you can do things with this by sort of, what I can see, well, if you use that diagonal as well, because we know those 2 digits are quite small, don't we? They were 2, 3 or 4. So you can't put big digit. And it's the same logic I was doing before. I don't think I'm quite advancing this in the same way. I'm just doing the same logic I did before differently. What I was going to say is that, but I think I could have done this last time, I just didn't see it. You can't put a 7 on this Remban line, because if you put a 7 on that Remban line, then you have to put a 7 on that Remban line, where it cannot go, because this square is a maximum of 4. So if you know there's no 7 on that Remban line, it's the same thing as noting, which I was able to do before, once I got this was a 7-8 pair. Once there's no 7 on that Remban line, it's got to contain 3 and 4. That one's got to contain 3 and 4, and you get 3, 4 in the middle. Yeah, I don't know. I feel a bit worried, to be honest, and slightly embarrassed if I was meant to use set theory to crack the puzzle. But what I can tell you is I massively enjoyed the puzzle, doing it my way, and I hope you enjoyed watching me too. Let me know in the comments. I do enjoy them, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.